Close your eyes. Listen. Can you hear it? That faint, almost imperceptible hum? The sound of something vast, ancient, and utterly alien. It comes from below, from the lightless depths of our own planet. A place where pressure can crush steel like paper, where creatures exist that defy imagination, and where silence is absolute. Tonight, we descend. We will explore the dark, true history of deep-sea exploration, not as a triumph of human engineering, but as a chilling chronicle of terror. We will unearth the untold stories, the whispered fears, and the bone-cold realities that push the boundaries of human sanity at the edge of the abyss. What secrets truly lie in the deepest trenches? And what happens when man, in his arrogant quest for knowledge, disturbs something that should have remained undisturbed? For centuries, humanity has gazed at the stars, dreaming of other worlds. Yet beneath our very feet, a world more alien, more hostile, and more unknown than Mars or the Moon has always existed. The deep ocean. A realm of unimaginable pressure, perpetual darkness, and temperatures that can freeze the soul. From the surface, it seems an endless blue, but beneath 200 meters, sunlight begins to fade. Below 1,000 meters, it vanishes completely. This is the midnight zone, a world where the only light comes from bioluminescent creatures or the tiny, fragile beams of human vessels. For generations, it remained an impenetrable mystery. Sailors whispered tales of monstrous krakens and leviathans, but these were fables. The true horror was far more existential. It was the sheer, crushing reality of the environment itself. The pressure is so immense that a single drop of water from the deep ocean would feel like a hammer blow on the surface. Yet humanity's insatiable curiosity pushed us onward. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, the first primitive submersibles began their perilous descent. Men in clumsy, spherical vessels with tiny portholes dared to peer into the abyss. They were pioneers, driven by science, but they were also, unknowingly, explorers of fear. The initial descents were fraught with unimaginable dangers. Every rivet, every weld, every window was a point of potential catastrophic failure. The psychological toll was immediate and profound. Imagine being sealed in a steel sphere miles beneath the surface, knowing that a single flaw, a microscopic crack, would mean instant, pulverizing death. The darkness was absolute. A primal void that pressed in from all sides. The cold seeped into the very bones. And the silence, a silence so complete it was deafening. Every creak of the hull, every tremor was amplified into a terrifying symphony of imminent doom. Early explorers reported profound psychological effects. Hallucinations, extreme paranoia, a sense of being watched from the featureless black. The human mind, designed for sunlight and open spaces, struggled to cope with the utter negation of its natural environment. There were accounts of divers suffering the bends, a horrific condition where nitrogen bubbles form in the blood and tissues, causing excruciating pain, paralysis, and even death. But in the deep, the bends were far more insidious, sometimes manifesting as sudden, inexplicable mental breakdowns. Men would scream, claw at the walls, consumed by an invisible enemy, their minds shattering under the weight of the deep. And then there were the sounds. or the lack of them, the absolute stillness. Except sometimes there were whispers. Not words, but just something. Unexplained clicks, distant groans, a faint rhythmic thrumming that seemed to come from inside the abyssal rock itself. Sailors and deep-sea engineers often dismissed these as hull stress or equipment malfunctions, but in the crushing isolation, the imagination can paint a far more sinister picture. As technology advanced, so did our ability to penetrate deeper, and with each new descent, we encountered life forms that defied all terrestrial understanding. Creatures that glowed, that had mouths full of needle-sharp teeth, that moved with an alien grace in the suffocating darkness. These were not the monsters of myth, but the monsters of reality. Imagine, you are miles beneath the surface, encased in metal. Your floodlights pierce the black, revealing a landscape of volcanic vents, hydrothermal chimneys spewing superheated toxic water, and plains of bizarre alien flora. And then something drifts into the light. Something with 100 eyes, or no eyes at all. Something with a maw that could swallow you whole. Scientists documented these creatures, marveling at their adaptation. But for the human mind, there's a primal fear in encountering something so utterly other. What if, among these documented wonders, there were others? Things too vast, too ancient, too incomprehensible to be captured by a camera. There are whispered tales from deep-sea drilling operations, tales of drills that suddenly ceased, not from mechanical failure, but as if encountering an impossibly hard, organic resistance, kilometers beneath the seabed. Stories of unidentifiable biological signatures appearing on sonar, too large to be any known whale or squid. Shapes that moved with impossible speed. The logs attribute these anomalies to faulty equipment, electromagnetic interference, or geological quirks. But the men who were there, who stared into the monitors and felt the sudden, inexplicable lurches of their vessels, they tell a different story in hushed tones years later. A story of something alive down there. Something enormous. Something that perhaps does not appreciate being disturbed. The deepest point on Earth is the Challenger Deep, within the Mariana Trench, a crushing, lightless chasm almost 11,000 meters, or nearly 7 miles below the surface. If Mount Everest were placed in the Challenger Deep, its peak would still be over a mile underwater. This is the ultimate frontier, a place so remote, so hostile, that fewer people have visited it than have walked on the moon. Each descent is a perilous gamble, pushing human engineering and psychology to their absolute breaking points. Accounts from these extreme descents describe a profound sense of isolation, the vastness of the pressure-filled void, the absolute silence, and the knowledge that rescue, in the event of a catastrophic failure, is simply impossible. It's a place where the concept of time itself seems to warp, and the human psyche begins to unravel under the strain. There are anecdotes from crews who returned from the Challenger Deep reporting strange dreams, vivid nightmares, and an inexplicable feeling of being followed for weeks after their return to the surface. One researcher reportedly experienced recurring auditory hallucinations of deep, rhythmic knocking, even in the quietest environments. He was convinced it was the sound of something tapping on the hull, trying to communicate, trying to get in. Dismissed as decompression sickness or psychological stress, these experiences are quietly logged, then forgotten. But what if they are not mere symptoms of stress? What if, in disturbing the deepest sleep of the earth, humanity has awakened something ancient, something that does not like to be disturbed, something that perhaps can reach across the crushing depths, across the thick steel walls, and touch the very minds of those who dare to invade its domain? We have mapped less than 20% of the ocean floor. Less than 5% of the deep ocean has truly been explored. This means 80% of our own planet's surface remains a mystery, a vast, unexplored territory. And within that territory, countless unknown species, undiscovered ecosystems, and perhaps unknown horrors. The true terror of deep-sea exploration isn't just the physical dangers or the psychological strain. It's the chilling realization that we are not alone, not with other humans, but with life forms that exist beyond our wildest imaginings. What if the pressures of the deep aren't just physical, but a form of primordial defense, a natural barrier to keep humanity out? And what if, in our relentless drive to push deeper, to see further, we have already crossed a line? What if the occasional garbled transmission, the inexplicable equipment failures, the sudden onset of madness are not accidents? What if they are warnings, or worse, responses? The abyss watches, it waits, and sometimes, when we listen closely enough, in the deepest, darkest moments of silence, we can almost hear it whisper back. And what it whispers is utter dread. What do you believe truly lurks in the unexplored depths of our oceans? Have you ever heard an unexplained sound from the deep? Share your theories and your most chilling deep-sea fears in the comments below. If the silent horrors of the abyss sent a shiver down your spine, please like this video and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into the terrifying and unexplained. Thank you for venturing into the darkness with me.
Prince of Darkness.